So I'm just going to go in the group and check and make sure we are there. We should be hopping in the group momentarily. So that's cool. Let's see. And if you guys can do me a favor and give me a +1 in the comments if you can see me. Okay, let's try this again. All right. So, right. Things got pretty wacky just a second ago. Let's make sure that we have volume. All right. Let's see what we got here. Okay, give me 1 second. I'm just trying to go through and delete that last one because. Okay, cool. All right, can you guys, if you're hopping on now, to give me a +1 in the chat if you can hear me. We had a little technical difficulties just a moment ago, but live again. Here we go. Zoom and Facebook were not cooperating. They were not playing nicely. So, but yeah, as you guys are hopping on, do me a favor, let me know where you're coming in from, what state, what submarket. Also, by the way, if you guys are hopefully off to a great start for 2022, type 2022 in the chat, okay? Because today is going to be a good one. I'm super fired up for this one because this is going to be a roadmap for you guys to get from point A to point Z, where you want this year, how to increase your sales, and so forth, right? So, like I said, as you guys are hopping on, we're waiting for a few more folks. Sorry for the tardiness. Had to reboot 3 times because there's all kinds of crazy feedback going on. But yeah, so I see Emma's coming on. Welcome, Emma. Nice to see you again. Good to see you. One of the regulars here every week. Love to see it. Yeah, folks, as you're hopping on, let me know where you're coming in from, what your state and submarket are, and if you guys are ready to take 2022 by storm, type 2022 because tonight is going to give you the exact path that you need to follow in order to get from where you are to where you want to go. So super excited to deliver this to you. Hi, Tasha. Nice to see you. Jacksonville, Florida in the house. I love it. Oh, we have Boca. Lisa's from Boca. Awesome. I'm 305. I'm Miami based, but love to see my Florida folks on here. Good stuff. Let's see. Robbie's on. Robbie, one of the regulars. Nice to see you again, pal. Oh, yeah. And by the way, guys, if you can help me, like my mission in 2022 is to help even more people than I helped last year. So if you can help me help others, I would really appreciate it. If you can hit the thumbs up sign and the heart sign like over and over again, bam, 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 bam. So what that does is that tells the Facebook algorithm that people are watching the live, they're engaging with the live, and therefore it pushes the message out to other people so more folks can hop on, right? So like last time, oh, love it, love it, love it. I see all the thumbs up. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Because what that does is that allows others to see that we're engaging, we're giving up awesome, cool value, and it helps spread the message. And I think we had like 26 or 7 people on last week. So the week before last week was super quiet for the holidays. But yes, keep them coming, keep them coming. We want to help as many people as possible. We want to pay it forward, you know, so we can help you guys kill it this year. All right. So we got Robbie's coming in from Philly. Welcome from Philly. Awesome. Bronx, Little Italy. Nice. Very, very nice. Catherine, nice to see you again. Catherine from Tampa. So we got a lot of Florida in here today. Love it. Mark looks like Iowa and Illinois licensed. Love it. Love it. Awesome. Cool, guys. Well, if you are brave enough, go ahead and let me know. Let's see what your goal is for the year. Right. Let me know what your goal is because what I always keep a running list of all these states' average commercial sale transactions according to CoStar. And what it'll do is it'll help put into perspective like how many transactions you need on average in order to hit your goals, right? So if you want to throw that into the comments as well, by all means. But I'm going to go ahead and bring up the presentation for today so I can get you guys up and running. Give me just 1 second. That's some crazy technical difficulties before. Okay, so. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. Cool. All right, so let's go. Here we go. All right, and when you guys can see my screen, it says 3 key ingredients to close more commercial sales. Go ahead and do me a favor and hit those thumbs up just to let me know that you're with me. All right, Brian, nice to see you. Welcome. Brian's one of the regulars. Love to see it. Love to see the same faces here every week. It means that people are obviously coming here. Thank you for setting time aside. I hope to give you a little bit of value each week so you can move you just a little bit further. Just move that ball down the field, so to speak, for those of you football fans out there, right? So cool. I see we have a thumbs up. Yes, Mark says GCI of 350K on 30 transactions. Awesome. Great goal. 10 commercial transactions from Luis Vega. Awesome for 2022. Great goals. Love it, guys. Love to see it. Well, hopefully you're going to have some takeaways from tonight that are going to show you, like maybe bring you a little bit closer to where you're looking to go, right, and help you get in there, right? So just before we get started, right? So just try to think of tonight as like a metaphor, right? You can have the same 3 ingredients in something, and it can turn out very differently, right? So you could have whatever, sugar, eggs, and butter. And that could turn in, depending whether you're baking or you're cooking or you're creating a souffle or whatever it is, right? Depending on how much you do and what ratios and how you, whether you put it on a griddle, whether you put it in the oven, whether whatever you might be doing, putting it in a frying pan, it's going to come out very differently, right? So, but yet you still need those 3 key ingredients. You can use the same ingredients in a different way. Like your market in, let's say, Tampa might be different than Chicago, might be different than Atlanta, might be different than Dubuque, Iowa, right? But everybody, if the same 3 key ingredients remain, it's just a question of what you do with them and how you use them to adjust them to your particular submarket, right? Brian's asking, do you need a real estate license to do commercial sales? Brian, I have yet to find a state that does require one, right? For the most part, but I don't want to say a one with 100%. But I have students in probably 15 states, maybe 16 at this point. So I have yet to find one, and I even challenge people to say, hey, listen, folks, I don't want to be the one to tell you, but I know here in the state of Florida, you absolutely do not. You can work with it without issue, but for the most part, by and large, most states you do not require it, but just double check. Because I don't want to make a blanket statement and be incorrect. And state laws change from year to year, but that is a good question for sure. All right, guys. So again, think of it this way: we have key ingredients. You're going to take these ingredients, and maybe you add it. You cook it for a little bit longer. Maybe you cook it a little bit less. Maybe you add a little more sugar, a little bit more salt, a little bit less egg, whatever that might be, right? But the key ingredients remain, and this is how to earn the highest levels. Because I don't want to teach you how to be inefficient with your time. I want to teach you with the max amount of dollar output to your time and effort input. Okay, so without any further ado, guys, we are going to start. Okay, so ingredient 1. Okay, nobody who knows anything about real estate or who is a successful broker will tell you that prospecting is not the absolute heart of any business, right? If you do not, it's like no different than owning a 7-Eleven. If people aren't coming in the door, you're not selling any Slurpees. You with me, right? You have to have a steady flow of constant new customers coming in the door, right? Now, you can do it by getting the wrong customers in the door, right? And you can talk to hundreds and hundreds of people and get nowhere, or you can talk to the right people, which is why I didn't just say prospecting. I said effective prospecting, right? The metaphor I like to use is like, let's say we're all doctors, right? And our goal is to help as many sick people as possible. Okay. Does it make sense to walk around like, I don't know, a Dolphins football game and go through a crowd of people and say, hey, are you sick? Hey, are you sick? Hey, are you sick? Right? Eventually you're going to find sick people, but at the end of the day, you're not going to be as effective with your time or as efficient with your time. Or would you rather sit outside the hospital where the ambulances come in, right? And people are coming in from, from getting wheeled in on a gurney and asking them if they're sick, right? So there's definitely a way of gaming things and being more effective, a little bit more strategic, and being able to know, to be able to prospect more efficiently. So you get more dollar output for your time input. I am all about efficiency, right? So step 1 of that is understanding who to prospect to, okay? In commercial real estate, depending on the property type, you oftentimes have, like, around here, for instance, small bay industrial, there's a 4% turnover rate, which means the average property turns over once every 25 years or so, right? So that is, if you're just going to try to call everybody in the area, it's a terrible, terrible way to go about it. It's not effective. Like, sooner or later, you're gonna hit somebody, but even a blind squirrel gets a nut every once in a while, right? The broken clock is right twice a day, but we don't want to be right twice a day. We want to be a whole lot more effective than that. So step one is know who to prospect to. Lewis says, ingredient number one, I recommend don't ever take an overpriced listing. An uneducated, greedy owner will cost you lots of money. 100%, Lewis, and we're going to get to that later on. We'll talk about that in just a second, right? But the second part of effective prospecting is not only, so now that you got the right person on the phone, or you're in person with them or what have you, knowing what to say. The question is, do you have scripts? Do you have a conversational flow in your head, memorized and internalized, most importantly? So if they say this, you say that. If they say this, you say that. So you know with the highest effectiveness possible that you have the highest likelihood of getting a meeting with them, okay? That is knowing what to say, having 100% belief that you know how to handle they zig, you zag, they zig, you zag, that type of thing, right? So that's step number two. Not only knowing what to say, knowing who to prospect to, but knowing what to say once you get that person's attention, okay? Next step is also knowing how to say it, right? You can say the exact same thing, same words, 5 different ways, and they have 5 different meanings. So it's so much of how we communicate, of what we communicate is how we communicate it, right? Give you a quick example of tonality, right? 5 words. The dog ran down the street. That's 6 words, actually, but follow me, right? The dog ran down the street. 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 Now, break apart just those 4 little phrases that I just used. One of them puts the emphasis on running down the street. One of them puts the emphasis on the dog. One of them puts the emphasis on the street. One of them puts on the emphasis of how many dogs, right? So understanding tonality on a deep, deep level and knowing how to use it to increase your persuasion abilities to influence somebody towards making the right decision is key. So if you know what to say, to whom to say it, what to say, and how to say it, you're going to be so much further than someone who does not have that level of understanding or the training to do so, right? So that is ingredient number one, effective prospecting. It is like the locomotive of a train, right? The caboose doesn't drive the train, the locomotive does. So the locomotive in this particular case is your prospecting habit. You have to build a super strong one. Anybody with me? Like, if you guys are with me and understand on a gut level how important prospecting is, do me a favor and type +1 in the chat. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page here, because I want to make sure that I'm preaching to the right choir, okay? So next step, right? Ingredient number 2, okay? It's going to be learn to list more properties, right? It sounds so simple. Learn to list more properties. Yeah, of course, like everyone wants to do that, okay? But how do you do it, okay? The most important thing you need to understand is this is a contact sport, okay? Prospecting gets your foot in the door, okay? If you're not putting your foot in any doors, guess what? You're not listing any properties. So the fastest way to learn more properties, to list more properties, right, or to learn to list more properties, is to set more meetings. Period, bottom line. That comes from a few different things. That comes from discipline. That comes from confidence in knowing what you're doing, right? That comes from effective prospecting, right? And that also comes with, guys, anybody guess what the C word is when it comes to prospecting that is so important that you absolutely must have every single day, every single week, every single month? Do me a favor. Take a guess. If the word begins with a C, okay, type it in the chat if you guys are with me. What is it? What's the one thing that so many people, I see we got some coming in. What's the C word that so many people need more of in their business? okay? Lewis gets the gold star. Yes, consistency. You have to be consistent. You don't have to be the smartest person in the world. You don't have to work 24 hours a day. What you do have to do is be consistent in this business. Yes, Olga gets it. Emma gets it. Yes, that's it, guys. Yes, Tanisha gets it. Yes, we need to be more consistent. And by a show of hands, guys, okay, or by a show of thumbs up, how many of us could afford to be a little more consistent this year than we were last year? Go ahead and smash the like button if you guys could afford to be just a little bit more consistent this year than you were last year. All right. So, and by being more consistent, you're going to open more doors, you're going to get more foot in more doors, and you're going to set more meetings, which is going to lead to you listing more properties. Very simple, end of story. Now, next step is set more meetings with the right people. You don't want to just set a meeting with a little old lady just because she seems nice, you know, because and we've all done it in the beginning. You will use any excuse to get a meeting with somebody. The best thing you can do is set a meeting with somebody who you can actually help. Set a meeting with somebody who has the power to say yes, right? Set a meeting with somebody who has the intention of potentially putting their property on the market. And there's a bunch of different ways you can qualify those people through your conversations and through your research and so forth. But you need to be talking to the right people. The people have the not only the motivation, but the power to say yes. Do not ever take a no from someone who can't give you a yes. Does that make sense, guys? You with me? Okay, thumbs up? Okay. So, which leads us to the next step. Have a scripted presentation, okay? Do you think, okay, I'm gonna use a football analogy, right? Do you think, I don't know, Tom Brady. You think Tom Brady gets on the field and wins in the Super Bowl by just being like, hey guys, I'm just gonna throw the ball and see what happens, right? No. He has a playbook. He studies the playbook. He internalizes the playbook. He knows exactly what to do when what happens. When the defense shifts, he knows how to adjust. He knows what his wide receivers need to do in every single scenario, okay? You need to be as scripted with how you present your message to people, how you persuade the person to let a complete stranger handle probably one of the largest investments they have in their portfolio, right? In their life. You're handling a very large chunk of that person's net worth. There's a high degree of trust that needs to be shared there. So what you need to do is you need to have a scripted presentation so that you know what to say when they ask this question. You know what to say when they give you this rebuttal. You know what to say when a number of things come up. You know how to persuade them and show them not only that you are the person for the job, but that you can get the job done, okay? You need to have a scripted presentation. So, and then finally, you need to study the market and know the value of the property, which leads us to the next step, right? You have to understand, you have to be able to, in that presentation, excuse me, be able to articulate the fact that you know the market inside and out, and you can articulate and explain to them why their property is worth what it's worth. Now, many people on the live today are commercial agents. Many are residential agents. But just guess at the end of the day, the people that we're dealing with, potential clients and customers, people are people, right? And I have a belief that everybody thinks, I call it the beautiful baby syndrome. Everybody thinks that their baby's just a little bit prettier than their neighbors, right? That's no different when it comes to their properties, right? Everybody thinks their property's worth just a little bit more than their neighbors. Well, if the market's here, I want to be here. And incidentally, it's typically about 20% more than the market. So we have to develop a rock solid skill set of being able to not only understand the value of the property, but also be able to articulate that to them, okay? Because if someone falls asleep in a 50-year coma and they wake up, I guarantee you they're going to think that their property is worth 20% more. It's uncanny. People don't know, you know, they don't know, have any idea how the cake is made, but somehow they think their property is worth more than everybody else's. It's just human nature, right? Which brings us to the third ingredient. You need to learn to master valuation, okay? Guys, do me a favor, right? And I've used this analogy before, but I think it's pretty poignant. If I gave you a $20 bill and told you to go to the 7-Eleven and get 20 singles, Do you think that would be relatively easy to do? You know, assuming that they had the singles in the drawer, okay? Right? So let me know, guys. If you think that you can get 20 singles for a $20 bill, go ahead and type 20 in the chat, okay? Now, the next example is if I told you, if I give you a $20 bill and you go to the 7-Eleven and you say, okay, well, I told you to bring me back 19 singles. Do you think you could bring me back 19 singles, right? And would it be just a little bit easier to bring back 19 singles than 20 singles, right? I think pretty much everyone says, yes, of course, right? Common sense. Okay, why? Because a $20 bill is worth 20 singles. $20 bill is worth more than 19 singles. Sure, okay? Now, I'm going to give you that same $20 bill. I'm going to send you to the 7-Eleven, and I'm going to ask you to bring me back 24 singles, 23 singles, let's say, 23 singles. How long do you think you would have to wait at the 7-Eleven to get 23 singles for your $20 bill? I'll wait. Exactly. The reason being, a $20 bill is not worth 23 singles. You cannot, and Lewis hit it on the head. I think he's telepathic, right? Lewis hit it on the head before. The worst thing you can do is take an overpriced listing. It wastes your time, your efforts, your marketing dollars. And then you wind up with an unhappy client because months down the road, they're going to forget whose idea it was to price it at what level. All they're going to know is you didn't do your job, which is why it's so important to master valuation. You guys with me? Hardin says, in 10 years. Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully it'll be worth that in 10 years because we had a dead period between 2006 and 2016 where the market went down. And it took 10 years to get back to where it was when it peaked in 2006. So hopefully the market will be worth that in 10 years. But be that as it may, right? You have to understand, folks, that you have to get the property on the market at the right price or very close to it in order for you to be successful in this business. Okay, so step one of that is knowing what information to gather. Okay, if you know what information to gather, then you'll be able to go through the process of understanding how to put a price tag on any given property. With me so far? So next step of that is know how to interpret the data. So not only do you gather information about the property, whether it's the income, the expenses, so on and so forth, once you come up with, the net operating income, you need to know how to interpret it and understand it and be able to put that price tag on it. Then you need to be able to articulate the value to a seasoned investor, right? Don't forget, folks, a lot of these people, the vast majority of folks, and it doesn't matter nationwide, right? They're baby boomers, right? They're in their 60s, they're in their 70s. They have owned a lot of these properties for years and years and years. Can you stand toe to toe with someone who's owned income producing real estate for 30 years, 40 years? And articulate your opinion of value, as well as state your case why their property is worth X and not worth whatever they think it's worth. Show of hands, right? So if you guys think that you can do it with 100% certainty, give me a 100 in the chat, okay? Because it takes a while to build up the skill set, and it takes repetition. It takes understanding this stuff on a granular level before you'll be able to stand toe-to-toe. I can stand toe-to-toe with anybody. You give me the data on their property, right? And you give me there's local submarket, I can state a case all day long, because what I always tell my clients is brokers might tell you stories, but the numbers will never lie to you. And you go about building a case, right? So awesome, Andrew. Yes, 100%. Glad to hear it, man, because that is such an important part of the process that we go through, right? Where do we find these investors? Well, it depends. There's a lot of different places, and it's going to depend also on your market and the size of your MSA, but we'll get into that in just a second. Okay, so once you have gathered the right data, interpreted it properly, then you'll be able to articulate. You'll need to be able to articulate the value to a seasoned investor. Next step, be able to understand and interpret local market cap rates, okay? Here's the interesting thing, right, about local market cap rates. If you are downtown, right, in the most expensive area of town, the cap rate's going to be X, right? You go 2 miles across town, to an area, maybe it's up and coming, maybe it's turning over, maybe it was a little bit downtrodden and it's coming back a little bit. I guarantee you there's going to be a difference between what someone will pay in the downtown area, the nicest area of town, versus a submarket it could be a half a mile away. It could be a mile away. It could be right down the street. But the point is, cap rates will vary greatly from one area of a city to another, from one area of town to another. So you need to be able to understand and interpret local market cap rates. The reason being, a very, very small change in cap rate can make for a huge swing in value in a property, especially as cap rates are compressed. It makes a very, very big difference, right? Like, for instance, let's just take a 5% cap rate, right? 100 divided by 5 equals 20. What does that mean? If you take, for every dollar of NOI, net operating income, that increases in your property, the value increases by $20, right? So for every 1,000, it changes by 10,000, by 20,000, right? If it's 10,000, it's 20 times that. You with me, folks? So what you need to understand is, especially in the compressed cap rate market we're in right now, a very, very small change in the NOI makes for a big difference in the value. Similarly, a small change in the cap rate can make a big difference in value. So you need to be able to understand and interpret local market cap rates. Is everybody with me so far? If you can, give me a thumbs up so you can start to see kind of the road path that we're walking through, these key ingredients and kind of like the sub components of that. So just give me a thumbs up if you're with me, if this stuff is making sense. All right, cool. All right, so now this is where we put it all together. Okay, 11 steps. Seems pretty easy. Remember, folks, you have to know who to prospect to. You have to know what to say to them. You, most importantly, need to know how to say it to them. You need to be able to set more meetings with your increased prospecting. You need to set more meetings with the right people due to your targeting the right people and your research. Okay, you have to have a scripted presentation so you know what to say when they bring up any contingency. And typically, folks, it's usually the same 4 to 6 kind of contingencies, but you have to be able to handle any of them. Okay, you then have to study the market and know the value of the property. You have to know what information to gather to determine the value of the property. You need to know how to interpret the data that you do gather, okay? You also need to be able to articulate the value to a seasoned investor, and finally, be able to understand and interpret the local market cap rate. All right, guys? So what's super duper important is this 11-step process. Now, you guys, I'm sure you could figure it out all on your own. But if there's anything, any piece of this part that is missing, okay, it's going to be very, very tough to get you from point A to point Z. Think of it this way. This is kind of like a chain. If any link in that chain is broken, you're not going to be able to pull the car out of the mud, let's say, or you're not going to be able to tow a vehicle with it, right? So you have to have all of these pieces working together. Once you get them all down, then it's easy. It's rinse, wash, repeat. Rinse, wash, repeat. But until you get all of these pieces in line and ready to go, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to get from point A to point Z in listing and selling commercial properties. Okay. So now, is everybody with me so far? Okay. So it just leads me to one question, guys. If you guys are 100%, I guess 100% confident in your abilities for every single one of these, then you probably wouldn't be here. But my goal for you guys is for you to dial these in this year, okay? Now that you have the roadmap, now it's like, well, okay, I know how to prospect. Okay, I have this, I have that. I want you to be able to use this almost like a checklist so that you can understand, oh, this is what you need to do. That's what you need to do. This is what you need to do. But until you get all these pieces together, it's going to be very, very difficult to be able to close multiple transactions and start scaling your business, okay? So if you think about it this way, guys, getting to success in any business, becoming a millionaire, whatever it is to you, okay, all you're trying to do is learn the skills to connect dots. And between broke and let's say a millionaire, right, there's an infinite amount of dots. You need to learn how to connect all of those dots. They're out there. Anyone can do it. It's out there for everybody. You got to be able to look. You got to be able to seek. You got to be able to find enough ways, but sooner or later, you're going to connect those dots, okay? So, I love metaphors. So, if you think about it again, right? Getting to where you want to, getting to the highest levels of your career, your success, right? Whatever that means to you, okay? Climbing the ladder to success is no different than getting to the top of a tall building, okay? There's a couple different ways you can do it, right? You can take the elevator, sure. You can take the stairs, right? Hey guys, just out of curiosity, which one do you think is going to get you to the top quicker, right? Who says I always take the stairs? Good. If you like to do things the hard way, that's awesome. You know, if I was climbing the Empire State Building, I guarantee you I wouldn't be taking the stairs. If I was trying to get some cardio in, I might climb 10 flights or so. But the point being, right? The point being is the way to get to the top fastest, okay, is by taking the elevator, okay? Now, if you're working with someone who has done this before, it's like taking the elevator. Why? Because you get to short circuit. You know, the technology has already been invented. It's already there, right? So what I would invite you guys to do, if you're serious about this, we can talk about how to get you from where you are to where you want to go, not by taking the stairs and huffing and puffing and maybe you quit halfway through, or if you're interested in learning how to do this, how to take those 11 steps and be guided through the process, okay, by someone that's already done it and can break it down for you, show you all the shortcuts, all the things so you don't have to figure it out on your own, that's something I can help you with. That's something we do at CRE Basic Training, okay? So if you want to get to the top, you want to push the button, you want to get there as quickly as humanly possible, you want to crush your goals this year, type #training, right? Because what we can do for you is we can set aside what, you know, like I said, everybody's recipe is going to be slightly different. We're going to want to take and look at your specific situation. If we can help you, we will craft a custom plan for you to get you where you need to go as quickly as possible. So the choice is yours, guys. I'd love to help you. You're more than welcome to take the stairs, but if it was me, I'd rather take the elevator. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm always on the chat. I'm always on Messenger and so forth. But if you are interested in taking your business to the next level, if you don't do it now, when are you going to do it? When's going to be the step, the year that you're going to take your business to the next level, to get so that you can have a better house, better school for your kids, you know, save for retirement, save for your kids' college, improve your community. If not now, then when? Okay? So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Like I said, I'm always in the chat. I'm always on Messenger. My goal is to help as many people as possible. Love to help you as well. So by all means, reach out to me and I'll be happy to help you and get to where you're going this year. New Year awaits. Look forward to seeing you guys. Take care.